2016, a woman stood on a stage in London and told the world she had killed Bitcoin. She called it a financial revolution. And in 12 months, she raised $4 billion. But there was just one problem. She didn't have a blockchain. She didn't have a mining farm. She had an Excel spreadsheet, a database that she typed into manually. This is the story of how a fake spreadsheet fooled the world. This is the story of Dr. Ruja Ignatova. She wasn't a gangster. She wasn't a hacker. She was perfect. Law degree from Oxford, master's from Constance, a resume that would make a Wall Street CEO jealous. She understood one thing about human psychology that the FBI didn't. People don't buy technology. They don't buy algorithms. They buy the dream that they are smarter than everyone else. And Ruja sold them the ultimate dream. You missed Bitcoin, it's okay. Because I built the Bitcoin killer. It was the perfect lie. Because the only thing harder to find than a missing person is a missing $1 billion. So how do you sell air for $4 billion? You don't sell the coin, you sell the education. Ruja sold PDF files, plagiarized from Wikipedia, but inside, these boring PDFs were tokens. And she told people, take these tokens, put them in the mining facility, and they will turn into OneCoin. But there was no facility. There were no servers. It was a simulation. A video game where the player always wins. She built a fake internal exchange. It looked like the NASDAQ. It felt like Wall Street, but it had one special feature that Bitcoin didn't have. The price only went up. Every time you hit refresh, you were richer. It wasn't finance, it was dopamine. She created a closed loop. You buy the package, you watch the number go up, you feel like a genius. And then you tell your friends. It was the perfect virus. And the craziest part, she told them it was better than Bitcoin because it was centralized. She said, I am watching the money for you. And they believed her. But a simulation needs a stage. And Ruja didn't just want a company. She wanted an empire. In June 2016, she rented Wembley Arena in London. It wasn't a conference. It was a coronation. Thousands of people screaming her name. Fire, lasers, diamonds. She walked out like a messiah. And she told them, we are the Bitcoin killer. The psychological trick was complete. It wasn't an investment anymore. It was a religion. If you questioned OneCoin, you weren't just a skeptic. You were a hater. You were anti-success. Families were torn apart. People mortgaged their houses to buy more education packages. But while the crowd cheered, a blockchain expert named Bjorn Björk received a job offer, a big one. They wanted him to be the CTO. They offered him a salary larger than a bank CEO. They had just one request. We need you to build a blockchain. Bjorn was confused. He said, but you've been selling coins for 2 years. What have you been using? The answer was silence. And then the truth came out. They weren't using a blockchain. They were using an SQL database. It's the same tech used to run a library catalog. Ruja wasn't mining crypto. She was just typing numbers into a computer. Bjorn said no. He turned down the money. And that is when the education ended and the threats began. Bjorn didn't just walk away. He started talking. He told the police. He told the regulators. He screamed it from the digital rooftops. There is no blockchain. There is no mine. It is a lie. But the machine was too big to stop. The money was flowing in at a rate of millions per hour. Ruja was traveling the world in private jets, buying yachts, buying mansions. She was the queen of crypto. But inside the palace, the walls were closing in. You see, Ruja wasn't just smart. She was paranoid. She knew the clock was ticking. She had bugged her own boyfriend's apartment. She had spies in her own company. And in October 2017, the wiretaps picked up the one sound she feared most. The FBI. They had issued a warrant. The Americans were coming. And they weren't coming for the money. They were coming for her. Most CEOs would call a lawyer. Ruja called a travel agent. October 25, 2017, Sofia Airport, Bulgaria. The Cryptoqueen, the woman wearing millions in diamonds, walked onto a Ryanair flight, economy class, bound for Athens, Greece. She had no entourage, no bodyguards, just a handbag and a secret. She boarded the plane, the engines roared, the wheels left the tarmac, and that was the last time anyone saw Dr. Ruja Ignatova. 2 weeks later, a massive OneCoin event was held in Lisbon. The stage was set, the lasers were ready. Thousands of investors waited for their messiah to tell them the price had gone up again. They waited and waited, but the stage remained empty. Panic spread through the crowd, not like a virus, but like a fever breaking. The emails bounced, the phone numbers were dead. The blockchain was just a ghost in the machine. She didn't just steal the money, she stole the belief. Today, Ruja is on the FBI's 10 most wanted list, right next to cartel leaders and murderers. The FBI has a reward of $5 million for information leading to her arrest. Some say she's on a yacht in the Mediterranean. Some say she had plastic surgery and is living in a suburb in Germany. Some say the Russian mafia silenced her forever. But the truth is more terrifying. She proved that you don't need a product to become a billionaire. You don't need tech, you just need a story and an audience desperate enough to believe it. Ruja Ignatova is gone, but the spreadsheet, it's still out there, waiting for the next refresh. But a scam this big doesn't just die, it mutates. When the queen vanished, the throne didn't stay empty. Enter the brother, Konstantin Ignatov. He wasn't a genius with a law degree from Oxford. He was Ruja's younger brother, a former forklift driver covered in tattoos. He was the muscle. He stepped onto the stage. He looked into the eyes of the desperate investors, and he told the lie again. She is resting, he said. She is working on the next phase. I am here to lead you. For 18 months, the zombie company kept eating money. The believers kept buying. The blockchain kept pretending to mine. But Konstantin made a fatal mistake. He got arrogant. In March 2019, he flew to Los Angeles. He thought he was untouchable. He was wrong. As he walked toward the exit, 5 men in suits stepped out of the shadows. The FBI didn't want an autograph. They wanted answers. In the interrogation room, the tough guy crumbled. He didn't just talk, he sang. He pleaded guilty, and he gave the world the final piece of the puzzle. He revealed the private emails. In one message, Ruja wrote to her partner, "These people are idiots." She had an exit strategy from day one. Take the money, run, and blame it on someone else for stealing it. But when the prosecutors asked Konstantin the question, everyone wanted to know, where is she? The room went silent. Konstantin looked down. He said he hadn't spoken to her since that day in Athens, but he shared a rumor, a whisper from the dark underworld of Eastern Europe. He said that Ruja didn't escape. The rumor was that the people who helped her, the powerful crime lords who helped her launder the billions, decided she was a liability, that the woman who knew too much wasn't sipping champagne on a yacht, that she was at the bottom of the Ionian Sea. We may never know the truth. The body has never been found. The money has never been recovered, but the victims, they are still here. People in Uganda who sold their land. Factory workers in China who gave their life savings. They were left holding digital dust. The OneCoin database is finally offline. The servers are cold, but the lesson, that will run forever. In the age of information, the most expensive commodity isn't Bitcoin. It isn't gold. It's trust. And Ruja Ignatova was the greatest thief of trust the world has ever seen. But the theory of her murder, it has holes. Because Ruja didn't just have money, she had intelligence. And she had Frank Schneider, remember that name. He was a former spy, the head of operations for a bitter rival intelligence agency. And he was Ruja's right hand. He was the man who built her a private CIA. He gave her the secure phones, the encrypted servers, the escape routes. In April 2021, Frank was arrested in France. He was facing extradition to the US. He knew where the bodies were buried. He knew where the money was hidden. He was the key to unlocking the entire mystery. But in 2023, just like his boss, Frank cut his ankle monitor and he vanished. Now ask yourself, does a dead woman need a spy master to go on the run? Or are they planning the greatest second act in history? The FBI isn't buying the murder story either. In June 2022, they made a move they almost never make for white-collar criminals. They put Dr. Ruja Ignatova on the 10 most wanted list. She is the only woman on that list. She is sitting right next to cartel sicarios and terrorists. The reward for her capture isn't $100,000 anymore. It is $5 million. You don't put a corpse on the most wanted list. You put a ghost that you know is still haunting the machine. In London, her penthouse remains. Inside, investigators found unspeakable wealth, paintings worth millions, a safe, and a closet full of designer gowns that have never been worn. It is a museum of greed. A monument to a woman who could buy anything, but couldn't buy the one thing she wanted most: peace. So we are left with a paradox. If she is dead, she got the easy way out, a quick end in the dark water. But if she is alive, she is living the ultimate noir nightmare. Imagine having $4 billion, but you cannot use your own face. You cannot use your own name. You cannot trust your lover, your brother, or your guards. Every waiter in every restaurant could be an informant. Every knock at the door could be the FBI. Or worse, the Russian mafia. She built a prison made of gold, and she locked herself inside. The body has never been found. The money has never been recovered. But the victims, they are still here, waking up every day to the reality of empty bank accounts and the system that allowed a fake coin to fool the world. It hasn't been fixed, because while Ruja is gone, the dream she sold is immortal. Greed doesn't need a blockchain. It doesn't need a server. It just needs a believer. The ledger is still open, and somewhere in the dark, someone is writing the next line of code. This world is built on secrets, and we are just starting to decode them. The story of OneCoin isn't over. It's just waiting for the next update. If you want to follow the money into the shadows, if you want to know the stories they don't want you to hear, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications. Welcome to Capital Noir.